The most delicious and reliable cold opens are always provided by Coors, the banquet beer. And that's when you play the clip of the like... The most satisfying and refreshing cold open a content creator could want.
Fucking Coors banquet for content creators.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you pitch beer to content creators?
But in all seriousness, this is the Day One Patch Podcast, episode 404. Ryan is dead. I ran him over 3 or 4 times. He was begging for help, and then I smothered him with a hot dog bun. So Ryan's dead.
I'm pretty sure you can't. Like, you literally just can't say stuff like that. Like, people are going to start to wonder.
People are going to, they're going to start to wonder until Ryan comes back. And then like, the amount of times I've quote-unquote killed Adriano.
That's a full week of time. Adriano's been on for months. Well, aside from that one time he was on.
Which I think was last week, wasn't it?
Was he? No, I think it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. Anyway. Day One Patch Podcast.
This is the Day One Patch Podcast. We got some great stories lined up for you today, including Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family Plan is finally confirmed with initial pricing details and a whole bunch of other stuff that's coming, and it's rolling out to various countries. The big one, I'd say, of this week is Assassin's...
Story.
No, this one. This is the one I'm about to say.
Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. My bad.
Is the Assassin's Creed Mirage has been officially announced with a reveal on September 10th, and we'll get into that. And then, of course, the next Mafia game is in development, and we'll have a discussion about that because we also reported prior to this, like official sort of confirmation, that it was reportedly that the new one was supposed to be a Mafia prequel. So we'll see what's up with that. And then the end of an era, I would say, Halo Infinite split screen co-op has been canceled as the studio focuses on live service, which is just plain sad. And we'll probably have a conversation about nostalgia and why they probably shouldn't cancel stuff. But anyway.
What's your name?
I'm Matt Lawrence. Everyone knows who I am. I like how I didn't introduce myself. I just said I killed Ryan. Yep. Gave a really detailed account of it. You fought me. You didn't introduce yourself. Who are you?
I'm Tim. This is the Day One Patch Podcast.
Heck yeah, it is. And let's dive into our stories here. So the first one here, just to sort of get it out of the way logistically, Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family Plan confirmed. Initial pricing details revealed. So this could be exciting for some people, especially if they're all in one household, or if they're all in one dorm or whatever. You got to be able to share an Xbox Game Pass with your friends and family. And a bit of an excerpt here from IGN. Microsoft has finally revealed the long-rumored Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family plan just days after a logo leak, all about the confirmed new subscription tier. Xbox announced that the new plan, which will allow subscribers to share it with up to 4 friends or family members, is being tested in Ireland and Colombia, where it will cost £21.99 or euro, I think that is actually euro, and 49,900 COP, which I believe is the Colombian dollar or whatever currency that is. Friends and Family Plan members will gain all of the usual benefits of Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes game cloud streaming and a rotating selection of games. While pricing details haven't been revealed in the US, it figures to be roughly $10 more than the current Xbox Game Pass Ultimate plan, which currently boasts $14.99, and again, that's US dollars. So, what's interesting about this, obviously, is you can share it, and if it is actually going to only be $10 more, it makes a heck of a lot of sense if you have some friends where you're like, hey, let's all pitch for this family tier, and we all get the same. That's it. Like we all get the same games, and we can all play together. So it's great for a group of friends, especially since a lot of games are 4-player. So what do you think about this, Tim?
How many people can it be on the same account? It's like 4?
It's four so people.
5 total. Because it says 4 other friends or family.
Oh, okay.
So it's 5, I guess, technically. But yeah, that's a really good point. Like, you all get the same library. And then you don't have to worry about the hassle of like, oh, like I have this. Do you have this on this console? Do you have this on this platform? You all have the same library. So you just all have access to the same stuff. And it's almost like you've got it's like going to the same arcade with everybody in person. Like everything that's accessible to you is accessible to everybody else. And like you say, there's a lot of really good 4-player, like multiplayer things that are available on Game Pass and just Xbox Live as a whole. So it's a good deal. It makes sense. This is exactly the kind of thing that I was hoping Xbox would do to combat with Sony's kind of lead, since the era of the PS4, where there's just like so many more PS4s out there than there are Xbox Ones. Microsoft had to make big plays, and I was really hoping it would be in the game streaming services department. And it really seems like they're like fully doubling down, fully investing into said department. So that's really awesome to see.
Well, this is especially true. I mean, this has happened to us in high school a couple of times, where in high school you don't have a lot of money. And, you know, everyone at that point, I mean, this is going to age us, but at that point, everyone just so happened to get Xbox Live, literally hooking their consoles up to the internet for the first time ever in the COD 4 like launch window. And I remember the Christmas break, everyone who did not have COD 4 at that point got COD 4 for Christmas. Everyone got Xbox Live. And that was like the craziest 2 weeks where it was all day, every day, just COD 4, COD 4, COD 4. That was like the one time that we were able to play online and all have the same game. Once we broke out of there, short of maybe a couple more CODs over the next couple of years, people start falling off. People buy, quote unquote, like a different game, like the wrong game. And then they're like, you know, damn, I bought Halo. Everyone else is on to Call of Duty now. Yep. You know, we're in high school. We can't afford another game, so you're screwed. This is such a reasonable price, assuming it is going to be reasonable in the US and Canada, that, you know, I could see even groups of friends in high school being like, screw it, let's just do this. Then 4 of us have the same thing. It's like, you know, let's just say a conservative $10 a person, which it's not going to be that high, a month to get an entire library of games where you're going to get your single player fix on. You're going to get your cloud fix on if that's what you do, if you don't have a console, which is another big thing, because you're kind of at that point, you're relying on your parents, obviously, to buy you a console, depending on how old you are, of course. And this is sort of like a fix for that. So like this would have been a great thing to have when we were coming up. And so this is just like another thing that we could really use. This type of stuff's really great, I would imagine, too, for parents, where not even necessarily in the household, but parents do sort of, dare I say, collude with each other, collaborate with each other, and they figure out, you know, hey, when is everyone getting a cell phone? I don't want my kid to be the last one to get a cell phone. Yeah. This type of thing could really be a thing where they're like, you know what, let's all pitch for this Game Pass, hook it up to all our kids' accounts. And then, you know, this group of four people who hang out a lot with each other can easily all play games. And it's a lot cheaper than the $14.99 that it normally would be per household, which is already reasonable at the end of the day.
Man, I never would have been able to convince my parents to like buy a game subscription. Absolutely no way. So if kids out there could do that, yeah, like you say, it would be a good it's a good value. And even if it's like $40, like for us in Canada, it might get as high as 40 just with the conversion from US dollars. That's only $8 a person. Like that's still really reasonable. $8 a month for a full like library. And then, you know, even if you don't want to be always playing multiplayer games, because not everybody's going to be available all at the same time every time. There's still lots of really great single player experiences to be found on Xbox Live or on Game Pass as well. Like I really enjoy. I've gotten a lot of value out of having Game Pass for PC.
Well, especially now where assuming the deal goes through, we're going to get the Activision Blizzard games. So you're going to get the Overwatch, you're going to get the Call of Duties, you're going to get Diablo 4, probably other Diablos, which some might actually already be on there, I'm not sure. You're going to get like this plethora of stuff, not to mention the already massive collection of stuff on there, Bethesda, a bunch of other stuff as well.
All of Bethesda stuff, yeah. You got Doom, you've got like all of the, like you're getting all the major IPs right now, honestly. Aside from like the Sony exclusive stuff. Like it's really good value. I've been happy with it.
Well, the one thing I found that's interesting actually when you say that is that for some reason with Bethesda, you don't get absolutely everything. So, I mean, one hole in it is you don't get Quake 4. You recently got Quake 4 for PC on there. But as far as I know, you do not get Quake 4 on the console. That might be due to it not being not being playable, on Xbox One and up, because it is a 360 launch title. So maybe they never did the maybe they never did the work to port it or whatever they have to do for that.
The conversion, yeah.
Whatever the conversion is. But the new one is you don't get that latest version of Skyrim with all the Creation Club content. That's not on Game Pass. You have to pay for that.
Yeah, the not the special edition, but the like
anniversary, I believe.
Anniversary edition, something like that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, to be fair, if somebody wanted to play Skyrim now and they haven't played it before, like the special edition's probably enough. Like, it's pretty well the definitive version. Like, Creation Club stuff, sure, it's helpful, but, like, it's not really that important, I would say.
No, it's not. It's not the core of the game, for sure. But there's a couple of like, half-decent quests. Like, I watched a video recently on what exactly it was you got. Because to say that you get the entire Creation Club where the stuff, I'm just like, whoa, like, I don't know how active that store is, but it kind of sounds like you're getting, effectively a whole app store, a whole mod store of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is quite a bit of stuff, but some of it's player houses and stuff like that. It's not it's not like super core gameplay stuff, but a lot of it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice cherry on top, but it's not required, of course. It's if you're like I said, if you're playing Skyrim for the first time, the special edition is going to be plenty of stuff to do there. But yeah, it's wild to think that game's more than 10 years old now.
Is it? Yeah, that is bizarre, actually. It's 11 years old now. 11, and it's 11 years old. Almost 11 years old.
Almost 11, yeah. We'll be on in November 11th. But, yeah. Speaking of Bethesda, though, I mean, Starfield will probably be coming to Game Pass in some fashion.
Day one.
Which will be another major, like, time sink if you're looking for value out of Game Pass. So...
Let me ask you this one. This just popped into my head. So, Starfield's coming day one to Game Pass. That's fine. Comes to Game Pass. They go down this road that they did with, say, Skyrim and... let's play a more modern one. Let's say Fallout 4. Mm-hmm. Where Fallout 4 had more of a traditional, here's a season pass. The season pass gets you some DLCs. And that's it. They release a DLC for Starfield down the road. Mm-hmm. Do you get that? Or do you have to buy that?
I assume you would probably get it, unless, I mean, you might have to wait until, like a complete edition of Starfield comes out, and then they would probably upgrade the Game Pass version from the base to the definitive edition or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that's an interesting point, because Nintendo Online has that same problem where it's like, They keep trying to incentivize people to buy the upgraded version of the Nintendo Switch Online by giving you like the Nintendo 64 games, and then you got like the Mario Kart 8 DLC, I think, included. So as that slowly trickles out every couple of months, you get those new courses in Mario Kart 8. You get the Happy Home Designer expansion for Animal Crossing. But then this raises the question, you're accessing content in those games that affects your like save files and stuff, obviously. So if you cancel your Nintendo Switch Online subscription, does that mean that those parts of your save files are rendered inaccessible?
Oh boy.
And the answer is yes, they do actually become inaccessible if you cancel your Nintendo Switch Online. So I guess be strategic, I suppose, with Nintendo. So when you cancel your Switch Online, just make sure you're not playing any games where you got content included with your subscription, because it becomes inaccessible. Unless, of course, you then buy it for that game and then you've got it all the time. But it's a really kind of skeevy incentive, in my opinion.
Something happened like this, and this isn't necessarily Microsoft's fault. So on Game Pass, there is Outriders. Now, Microsoft doesn't own Outriders. It's a Square Enix game developed by People Can Fly. So it's not attached to Game Pass directly through any means other than that's just on there. It's a third-party title on there. And a big update came out for it called World Slayer. It's like a big DLC. It's like a bit of an overhaul to the game, and sort of like a big, almost like a Destiny level expansion type thing that the Destiny does. And you could pay for a bundle pack where you get Outriders and World Slayer, or you could pay for just the upgrade. But if Outriders gets taken off of Game Pass, there's no way for you to boot up World Slayer.
Great.
So, like, I think I only ended up doing the upgrade because it's been on there for so long, and I was like, well, like, by the time I'm finished with this and it gets taken off of Game Pass, like, it's a bit of a gamble, I guess, which hasn't had a problem yet.
Yeah.
But it's still like kind of weird that I just own a piece of DLC that if at any point the tentative, assuming it is tentative, license gets taken away, I just lose access to it.
Yeah, like it's this. I mean, they are fringe cases, but you know that for at least one person out there, it's going to happen. So is that just like it's the acceptable loss portion of the equation? Like, I don't know.
It's kind of like it's getting harder to be a consumer now, because you know for sure that like we know this, but there's going to be people out there that have no idea. They're going to buy. Mm-hmm. They're going to be like, oh, like I just want to play World Slayer. Why would I pay $60 versus say $40? I don't remember the exact prices, but why would I pay that additional $20? I'll just pay the $40, and then down the road it's like, hey, why the hell can't I boot up World Slayer? I paid for it. It's like, yeah, you did, but you didn't buy Outriders.
It's easier than ever to spend money, but yeah, it's harder to be a consumer because there's so many pieces of the puzzle that you have to consider, which feels like it shouldn't be on the consumer to be worrying about that part.
It's especially bad with older games. So I recently purchased, because it was unbelievably cheap, Devil May Cry. So I've always wanted to try it. And there's a lot of Devil May Cries out there. Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3. There's 4 special edition. And then there's DMC, Devil May Cry 5, whatever. There's a whole bunch. So there's a trilogy pack, which is sort of like an HD collection that has the first 3 games. I believe they're actually just 1, 2, 3. They might have subtitles or something. But there's another bundle that comes on the PlayStation, and it only sometimes goes on sale. And it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 SE. And that is for like Devil May Cry 4, but it was ported from the PS3 to the PS4.
Okay, right.
So the HD collection is 1, 2, 3. It's on the PS4 and then plays on the PS5. And then 4 originally launched at the end, I believe it was, the PS3. And then it got ported to the other one. So that's called special edition. So there's this. So you're navigating this crap. And then I believe if you were to buy the PlayStation Plus, Game Pass tier, if you will, the one that gives you some games, I think the 4 they give you is the PS3 one. So you have to stream it because the PS3 can't be played on the PS4 or the PS5. And then there's another whole game, and I forget which one it is. I want to say it's 5, but it might be 4. That's like Devil May Cry 4 or 5 plus Virgil. I'm not sure who Virgil is because I haven't played these games.
He's one of the main characters, I think.
So apparently we're adding him in one of the things.
Yep.
Which I think it is 4 because when I bought this bundle, which also I'd like to point out one thing. I put this bundle in during one of the sales, and I think it was something like 30 or 40 Canadian. And this is how I like kind of decide whether I want to buy stuff. So I put it all in the cart to track it, and then I just kind of like leave it in there. And if I want to buy it, I eventually purchase it. If I don't, I just delete it once it gets off a sale. And this bundle became literally unavailable. Like it was not available anymore. And the next PlayStation sale comes in, rolls in, and the trilogy's on sale, 4 SE's on sale, but not together. There was no bundle. So I'm like, okay, put those in the cart. And I'm still thinking about it. Next sale rolls in. And I realized that the trilogy this time is not on sale for the first time because the trilogy was on sale on the other 2. And 4 SE standalone was on sale on the last 2, and it's not on sale either. So I'm thinking, okay, Devil May Cry isn't on sale this time. I go browsing through the sale, and near the bottom, I find, actually, it is on sale, but that other bundle is back. But this time it's only $20, so I purchased it immediately. Welcome to being a consumer 2022. Holy crap. But anyway, Game Pass at the very least, there's some muddiness around the edges, like we said with the DLC, but it does not have many of these problems, especially if you're just in the Game Pass family. You play what's on there. You don't play what's not on there. You don't buy DLC. It's just easy. Everyone can play whatever because everyone has the same library, and that's it. So hopefully this family and friends plan comes to the US and Canada soon, is reasonable, and works well.
Yeah, here's something. I think like the proposal is good value as long as they don't jack the price up to something like insane. Should be good.
Yeah, because if this assumed $24.99 is the assumed price in America, let's just be conservative and say it's going to be $34.99. So you're right, around $40 with tax. Again, these are all just like speculative and guessing numbers.
Yeah.
But like I was telling, I think Marty the other day, I was like, Game Pass can go up to $50 a month, and it's still saving me money. So
yeah, yep. Well, it depends, right? Like it's not going to be the case for everybody, but yeah, if you play a decent amount of the titles that are part of Microsoft's library, then yeah.
And the game and Xbox Live is in there. Xbox Live Gold is in there.
That's correct. Yeah, the subscription too. Yep.
So, like for me, it saves me so much money. It just doesn't matter. It's like maybe at like 100. Like at 100, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't know about this.
Oh no,
it's like 1,200 a year. Like this is gonna get a bit much.
That's yeah. When you put it that way, yeah, that's an insane amount of money for a subscription. This is like we're talking. What was that? Like the Ubisoft one that was $100 a month or something like that.
The Ubisoft one is something like $15 a month just for the PC. Or something like that.
What was the one that was like $100? Was it EA? No, EA was like one of the first ones.
EA was cheap. EA Access used to be $30 a year.
Yeah.
I know there is an expensive one that you and I are talking about, but I can't. I do know that we thought Ubisoft was rather expensive. They are like kind of coming, or maybe they have come. I haven't checked in a while to console because you do get a limited amount of Ubisoft titles with the PlayStation Plus. Like they've partnered with the PlayStation Plus higher tiers. Mm-hmm. So like it's coming to console, this and that. So I'm not sure how all that works, but at least in its original form, it was too expensive for me. Next thing here, speaking of Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Mirage. So this had some sort of leak, I heard. I didn't check into what it was. This had some sort of leak, and then later that day, they ended up just revealing it via a tweet. So I saw the official tweet, and I saw they had a screenshot on there, and they announced that we can't wait to tell you more on September 10th at Ubisoft Forward, 9 p.m. CEST or 12 p.m. PT.
What did you think of the screenshot?
So the first thing I asked, because I can't remember whether I sent it to Ryan or Ryan sent it to me, but I asked, like, this looks like the Middle East from the first game, one of the original cities. Yeah, I think it's one of the original. And Ryan mentioned, and I didn't read into this more than what he said, so maybe he just heard of this. I'm not sure where he got this, but he said that he heard that the game is returning to basics.
Yeah. So apparently, it's rumored that the game is not going to be RPG style. It's going to be more action stealth oriented, similar to the first couple of games. And I do wonder, because a lot of people had a lot of gripes about Valhalla, and I wonder if people are just kind of sick of the RPG ness of the series now, and they're thinking every couple of installments they'll just kind of flip flop back and forth between action game and then RPG, and then action game and then RPG.
I think that's actually a smart way to do it, because so Odyssey to me was pretty long, and Valhalla blows it out of the water.
Yep.
And this is why I haven't played Valhalla yet. But for the people that love the RPG version of Assassin's Creed, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to have a very long game like Valhalla with a season pass / DLC agenda, which it does, and that would keep them, say, tied over for the most part, if they're, a semi-casual player, for probably more than a year. Then, as the year rolls over, the calendar year rolls over, they release another action-oriented, action stealth, whatever, more basic, if you will, Assassin's Creed game. Mm-hmm. That is more linear, probably much shorter, I would assume. More just like the old ones, like in terms of its length as well and its style. So now everyone is kind of getting what they want, and because there's a DLC agenda for that original, for that, like, say, Valhalla, they could just release a DLC at the same time as the action one to tie people over. I think this just makes the most sense because I know a lot of people that really like the RPG that is Assassin's Creed. Like I can't really think of a game that is like that big of a RPG world anymore. That's new. That's just like a single player. Like I'm sure there is one, but like Odyssey felt really big. It's one of those things where, you know, you play like a Bethesda game because Bethesda is sort of in the same vein as like, you know, big open world. You can just do the main quest. You can just do the side quest. You can just not do quests. But when you go to a quote unquote city in a Bethesda game, it's like 13 buildings at the absolute most. Sometimes it's like 6 buildings.
Right.
But like Assassin's Creed, you are like walking through a mountain range randomly and you like peer through like a little porthole through the mountains as you travel up on your journey to get to the other side, and you just find a massive city that has nothing to do with the story. And it's a city that's bigger than anything Bethesda's ever made in one of their cities. And it's just for side quests. There's just side quests and side activities in there. And it's just this massive thing. And I think that the people really want that because it's awesome to also be able to be like, I'm going to fast travel around, or I'm not going to, I'm just going to run around. I'm going to like really get into the mythology thing, and like slight spoiler, but there's like mythological creatures like minotaurs and stuff. But like what's cool about it, they're kind of like hush hush. They're kind of like hidden away a little bit. So you can kind of play, you know, quote unquote in reality, or you could go a little bit sci-fi with it and kind of like really dive in and like find the minotaur, find these cyclops and stuff like this. You can sail your ship all over the place and get a bunch of upgrades. You could just do the bare minimum on your ship, not deal with that, and just deal with RPG mechanics and just do the main quest and just fast travel as much as you need to, you know, sail the bare minimum, farm the bare minimum, etc. So I think that there's really enough content and enough styling between the two types of AC, like the old ones versus the RPG ones, that there really could. And I think I like the idea if it's true that there's going to be both out there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. It kind of makes me wonder if it's to set the precedent that they're all going to be the same as this one for the next little while, or if they're going to kind of flip flop. Because I'd honestly, I haven't played an Assassin's Creed since Black Flag. I didn't even play Unity. I never played Syndicate or any of the RPG ones. So it would be it's sort of, this is more of my alley, honestly, going back to the older games, the Ezio games. Like this one has to be on a lot of people's radars because there's a reason they remastered all of the Ezio games.
That's a good point. Is like Ezio is like a really good character, but those games were particularly fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a little RPG. You know, you level up, you get, you know, I think at one point you get like a glove that makes you be able to jump higher because there's like some parkouring where you're trying to climb up like a specific tower and you're like, I can't get up this. Like, what the hell? Mm-hmm. You kind of just give up, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you know, you unlock this glove where you can hold down X and you can jump higher up this thing. So it's like, oh, cool. But it's not like super RPG where you're getting an item that does 10 more damage or an item that allows you to jump 5% further, and now you can try it. It's not that. There's like the cape system too and stuff like that. I remember it's like you get a cape and then they don't attack you or something on site. Like once you get the cape or something like that, the guards don't attack you or something.
Had different like reputations in different cities. And if you had enough of a reputation in the city, you got a cape, I believe. And then the cape kind of marked you as like, don't fuck with this guy kind of thing. So in game mechanic terms, it just made it so that enemies didn't like aggro to you. But yeah, it felt like an actual like progression of Ezio as a character. And I mean, they just focused for a number of games on Ezio, so you got a lot of time to flesh out his character and develop him. So there's a reason that he's like the most beloved character in the AC franchise. But I'm really interested in what looks to be like the environment that this Mirage is going to take place in. It looks very like kind of Middle Eastern, maybe like Persian. The era that it's taking place in, again, looks very like medieval, like you said. So it'll be interesting to see where and when this takes place. But I'm intrigued for sure.
I am glad that Assassin's Creed didn't have a linear timeline necessarily. I think for a number of years it did. Obviously in the Ezio era it did. kind of played Ezio through his various ages, but like various age groups, like young, sort of middle aged, and then kind of later in life.
It's like a 10 or 15 year time skip in between each game, I think.
Yeah. So you you play those like chronologically, if you will, but like AC Origins is obviously like way back. Odyssey, I think, is even further back.
Yeah, which is kind of stupid because it's like Origins isn't even the beginning. But anyway,
I mean, the thing here too that this reveals is like, I mean, I understand that there's the Animus and the precursors, and there's all this like tech and stuff like this, like whatever, that's fine. The Apple of Eden and all this stuff that's been all throughout the games that still exists in these games, but Odyssey really didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed. Or, no, I shouldn't say that. It felt like an Assassin's Creed, like the RPG type, absolutely, in terms of its gameplay. But the Creed isn't even around yet. Like, Origins is the origin of the Assassin's Creed. You're going before this, and so you're just sort of in this same universe. And what I was going to say is, this just ultimately proves that I think Ubisoft could just break off from the Assassin's Creed franchise and just make a really cool looking RPG. Yeah. In this same style, because people like this. It doesn't have to be tied to Assassin's Creed. It can just be something. Now, maybe it's due to the sales and the licenses and, God knows whatever other logistics they have to deal with. But with Mirage, like if I were to talk about that again, with Mirage, like I'm interested to see exactly like what you said, what era it is. I definitely think it's in sort of the same geographical area that Altair was in. It'd be cool to see, whether we could even go back to that castle. Like, is that castle going to be functioning? Is it like when is this in the timeline type of thing? Again, Ryan was just texting me, and this is probably just a rumor or something, but he mentioned that there's someone talking, or some sort of rumor that there's going to be a remake of the first game in this game as a DLC. Because the first game is really not that long.
Yeah, it's not that long, and it's also really not that good.
It's not that good. Yeah, it's really not that good.
As much as it hurts to say it, it was like my favorite game when it came out. I was so blown away by like the sheer scale. When you talk about Ubisoft's ability to build out a world, I mean, nobody did it in 2008 the way that Assassin's Creed had done it. Like, this is the same year that Fallout 3 came out. And
which is a big friggin' difference.
Which is also, it's a big game. It's another big RPG, but it's like, holy shit, the graphics in Fallout 3 compared to Assassin's Creed are like, it's not even comparable. And to be fair, Bethesda's never been known for their like graphic fidelity in their games. They're much more known for the like density of what's packed into those games. But yeah, holy crap. It's like, when I walked into Accra for the first time, you're on horseback and you're like going down that big hill and you see the city, you see the chapel in the middle of it. You're just like, so this is what video games are now. Like, this is what they can be.
Yeah.
And it had such a spectacle about it. And I just really, I really hope that they can pull that off again, Like, it's been a really long time since a game wowed me graphically. I think Elden Ring was probably the closest in that I was surprised at the high fidelity of the graphics with how big a lot of the areas in Elden Ring are. They really try to force their those like big vista reveals, and those are always really like quite amazing.
Those are super nice.
There's a number of places in Elden Ring that you see it and you're like, holy crap, like how'd they pull this off? This is so pretty. But that being said, again, it's not, you look at the textures, you look at the characters, they're not the nicest looking, but it's just the sheer scale of the world, and that the characters also look really good. That's like, wow, that's impressive. So I would love to see, with Mirage, like, for Ubisoft to pull that off again.
It would be really cool if there is a remake of AC1 in there, where you can just play as Altair for whatever reason. I would love to revisit those cities. Like you said, there's what would you say again? What's the first city again? Accra, and then there's the I think Damascus is in there.
Damascus, yeah, I think that's like Accra's the second city you go to. I can't remember what the first one is.
I think there's 3 cities, right?
I can't remember. It's been so long.
I thought there was 3 cities plus like the main town you were in, like where the Creed is.
I wish I could remember.
You're 100% right on the scale, though. I never really thought of that being in the same year as Fallout 3, where once again, like a city, like let's say like Megaton is like really really small in comparison to being like the original little village that there's like the Assassin's Creed, I don't know what you'd call it, the Assassin's Creed castle, like their headquarters, the Creed's headquarters, and then you come out, and then there's like a village out there, right outside of it, and that village, that castle, at least in my memories, it's been a long time, but that's bigger. That's bigger than Megaton, and that's like a village and a place you just check in, and then there's 2 or 3 other cities, which you can travel to.
To be fair, though, in a game like Fallout 3, like most buildings exist for a purpose. Like they're not just there and you can't go into them. Like almost every building in Megaton you can go into, I'm pretty sure. Almost every one of them. And in Assassin's Creed, like you can't go inside those buildings. They don't have windows that you can look into. Like they're not rendered on the inside. So the cities are big. The buildings look nice, but it's really just an exterior area that's quite large and has nice, pretty faithfully recreated, historically accurate cities in them. But for the most part, it's just a kind of a playground to run around in. But yeah, man, I mean, if we got a remaster of the first game that was Altair's story again, but with some more interesting gameplay than just the loop of here's your target. Okay, go find information on them. Report back. Make an assassination plan. Kill your target. Requiescat in pace. All right, now your next target. Go to the city. Follow them around. Get information. Turn back in. Go to the assassination. Kill the target. Requiescat in pace. All right, do it all again, and then you do that like 6 times, and then you go back and without spoiling anything in the story of AC1, you have your final showdown. So it's if they could incorporate a little bit more of Altair's story, maybe have some more interesting and different gameplay, and then also sort of flesh him out more as a character. Because honestly, I thought Altair was so cool when I played that game for the first time. Thinking back on it, I remember almost literally nothing about him as a character. Like, they just did not develop him at all. And it's in such stark contrast with a character like Ezio. Yeah, I would love for Assassin's Creed to wow me again, I think is the thing. I just haven't been wowed in 8 years.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the sort of like playground or the static world holds true even today. If you go into Athens, you're like, oh, cool, I want to go see X statue. I want to see X temple. I want to see X building. Chances are it's there, and you can go see it. And there's even some sort of like history mode or history Assassin's Creed or something like that, where you go through and the game has some sort of just history facts. Like, it's not AC. It's not Assassin's Creed Odyssey. But there's some sort of like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey history mode, which is like another game. And and it's like an educational thing where you can like walk around that same city and it'll tell you, it's almost like a tour, I guess, where it tells you stuff like that. I've never experienced it myself, so it might be, kind of talking on my ass here. But it is like, there is something like that there because it's so like it has all the stuff. Like if you really knew a city, like it's there. If you were super into Greek history, you're gonna find stuff.
Yeah, like that always really impressed me about it was that, the devs would take like a vacation to the cities that they were going to put in the game, and they would like get them the major like landmarks down, and they would make them look as faithfully recreated as possible.
It's awesome. Like, I remember even like Fallout 3, I remember they did that, where they were trying to really master that look of the center of Washington, D.C., where the super mutants effectively have made sort of like trench warfare in the center.
Yeah.
But there's the Washington Monument, the Capitol building, the History Museum, stuff like that. I remember they really kind of faithfully recreated that sort of center section, which, I mean, for a Bethesda game, was actually a pretty large region that was fairly densely packed. So not like, it's cool to see things recreated in real life where you can be like, man, I'm going to go check that. I'm going to go check that out. And sure enough, like it's, something in real life. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's, that level of detail is something that I really hope, these like AAA studios continue to endeavor after, because it just makes that much of a difference. It makes the game so much more impactful and memorable.
Well, let me ask you this as a sort of a final question for Assassin's Creed Mirage. So with Odyssey, and with Origins, massive map, long games, even the stories are long. And when I say long, I'm not saying a couple 100 hours or anything crazy, but just like on the longer side for sure, especially if you do a bunch of the side stuff. Especially Valhalla, I hear.
Yeah, hundreds.
100, yeah, a lot of hours can be put to Valhalla, I'll tell you what. And then there's also big DLCs as well, or at least one big DLC, as far as I know. What do you think they can do for this? What I mean by that is, let's say this is in the same Altair, like in the same geographical area that Altair was in. Do they do the 3 cities, or and at scale, big, all this stuff? But let's imagine that this game is sort of a scaled back, more like back to the roots of AC. Or do they do what I would say a Brotherhood move, where Brotherhood, at least to me, pulled it back? You're mostly in Rome. You're mostly dealing with stuff in Rome. You're not running around city to city to city as much, if at all. I think you might run to the villa a couple times, but it's not as sort of like running all over the place. I always found that Brotherhood was more condensed. People loved it, but like I always thought, I actually didn't like the condensed nature. Do you think that they're gonna like? Do you think that if we do go back to those roots, do we do that? Do we condense and just do Damascus? Maybe with a few like satellite locations for missions, or do you want the grand scale, but with just less stuff to do? Because like to me, that almost feels like it makes the world feel even more dead.
Yeah, if it's just big for the sake of being big, then it falls into the trap that a lot of like big open world games do, where people are like, man, how does FromSoft like pull it off with Elden Ring? How did Bethesda pull it off with their huge worlds that are still fun to explore? And it's just like that there's stuff there that's worth finding. And it would suck if they made it big and then just like kind of didn't do anything with it,
Yeah, because like even now, one of my complaints with like Assassin's Creed Origins and with Odyssey is like there's a little marker on the map, and you go out there. Let's say it's outside the city's outside like the city outskirts. You go out there, and it's like a farmer, and he's like, "Oh, thank God, Amistios! I need help. Someone took my pitchfork, and I need to harvest my crops." It's like, oh, Jesus Christ! Like, thank you for being a stand-in extra in this movie.
This was a necessary addition to my story as a character and my character development.
And so, like, whereas if like he doesn't have that in depth of a story, that farmer, but if he wasn't there, that area would be even more dead.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not really sure because it's going to be a delicate balance. I mean, it could really just be packed with content with a lesser focus on the RPG stuff. Yeah, because I even Ghost Recon has that now.
Yeah, like if I had to make a call right now, like which way I think it's going to go, I would say they're going to sacrifice the scale for the sake of having a good, like properly fleshed out like story. Because if the rumors are true and that they're claiming to go back to sort of more the roots, then that's what it would be. Like they did, yes, try to go for scale the first time around with like Altair and stuff, but they will have probably learned they proved they did learn a lot of lessons from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, because that's why I liked Assassin's Creed so much, is that everything that like I had issues with in Assassin's Creed 1 wasn't a problem in Assassin's Creed 2, and they just made it more
2
fun.
Is so good.
And they had it's like the perfect sequel. So like that's what I would say, is I would just really look forward to them learning their lessons, and then and making the most of what sort of they could do with a remake of of Assassin's Creed 1.
2, you're right on the 1 to 2, because like 1 wasn't that great of a game. You basically, like you said, talk to a contact, do a mini game of like pickpocketing, eavesdropping, and something else.
Yeah.
And then
literally.
I think you like beat somebody up, and then you get your 3 pieces of intel, and then you go and like you tell your contact, and he's like, all right, he's in this castle, go get him. And then that's it. And then you maybe check in sometimes, but like, that's it. Like, that's largely Assassin's Creed. But the scale and the sort of like, whoa, this game's kind of like big, and like the combat's cool and the graphics are good, kind of held us there. But if they had repeated that on 2, I don't think I would have been personally as big of an Assassin's Creed freak as I was. 2 made me an Assassin's Creed freak, buying all the special editions and like playing all the games and stuff like that. Unity broke me, but also like the amount of games I think broke me a bit. So
yeah, no, it's too much.
It's too many games. It's just too many games. But definitely interested in this. I hope the presentation on September 10th is good. I'm definitely going to check it out either during it or shortly after it, I'm sure. And I'm sure we'll talk about it on the show. Next story here. Mafia. Once again, the next Mafia game is in development. This comes to us from Game Informer. Mafia is celebrating its 20th anniversary, or recently celebrated its 20th anniversary, excuse me. And it was mentioned in a blog post by Hangar13 by Hangar13 that they are working on another Mafia. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but he is the head of production / media director of it. And he mentioned that I'm happy to confirm that we've started work on an all-new Mafia project. While it's a few years away, we can't share anything more right now. We're really excited to keep working on this beloved franchise and to entertain our players with new stories. Now, previously reported a number of months ago, I believe, we had a story about a report that Mafia was going to get a prequel game, also in development at Hangar 13. And we kind of were joking around about how Mafia 1 is so old in the timeline that these cars struggle to get up hills. Like, what are we doing? Going into the Red Dead era of like,
Hey, great.
But what will probably end up happening, I would assume, if this is a prequel, and it would be cool, is we'll probably end up seeing the rise of Salieri to power. Salieri, of course, is the main criminal family you work with in the first game. And we know very little about their origin, or at least I can't remember it at this point. This is pretty exciting. I don't know if you've played any of the Mafias at this point, Tim.
No, I haven't done any of them. Yeah.
None of them. It's a bit of a weird franchise. It's one that you like. It's not as big as you think, but then it's been going for a really long time.
It's been going a long time. Yeah.
Anyone that I hear that played it always talks really highly about it. The first game is known for being one of the first games that had really good cinematography in cinematics. There's sort of like this, like, I remember the gameplay was kind of shitty on the PC version, especially. I never played it on console. I'm talking about the very first game. And like, but you would do that slog of the gameplay in order to get to the cinematics, because the cinematics were so good and the story was so good. And like the cops were hilarious. They'd like be like, "Oh, you took you took a left turn from the wrong lane," and they'd pull you over and they'd give you a ticket with that written right on there and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
I've like gotten away from cops because I just had a slightly more horsepower and they couldn't get up a hill. So I'm going like 3 up the hill, they're going 2, and then eventually their engine can't take it and it just stuck on this hill, and I'm getting the hell out of there. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, no, so I'm definitely looking forward to this. I don't care whether it's after 3 or before 1. I do hope it does not have the same damn gameplay loop as 3. 3's story is friggin' awesome. 3's world is cool. 3's gameplay loop sucks. Having to take out, like, holy crap, having to take out each of the districts of the city for I think it's 3 different mob or crime bosses. And you have to like, take out this facility, capture this one, do this, do that, do this loop of like, go to the city, take the place out, go to this part of the city, take this place out, it's too damn much. It feels, well, it is. It largely is. It feels like side stuff, and then it becomes a requirement for the story. And it's sort of like, oh, I guess I wasn't doing side stuff. I guess I'm doing main content here. which is really really unfortunate. But yeah, so if I'm going to link actually in our show notes, I'll link this this Game Informer article. It has the conversation in which a lot of the staff or the developers here, the general manager, the head of production, and the game director, they had a conversation talking about all their memories of the franchise, and that's actually when he mentioned this quote saying that it's in development. So, and then I think there's actually a separate blog post, like I mentioned, with the 20th anniversary. So I'll link this for any Mafia fans out there that want to read it all, because I've read a bunch about it. And yeah, I'm pretty damn excited, and I hope it's as good as Mafia 2, because Mafia 2 is awesome.
How bad would it be if it was just like a total disaster, like a total flop?
Fuck. Man, what was sad is there's two games I remember. There's two distinct games I regret actually pre-ordering. The first one's Mafia 3. The second one's Battlefield 2042. Mafia 3 did not flop that bad. It was all right. It was okay. But it was sort of like, oh, Jesus. Like, it was pretty buggy, and it pissed me off a couple times. And the sky looked like it was, I don't know, turning into, like, hell whenever it changed times of day. It was the craziest lighting thing I've ever seen in my life. But then I would say Hangar 13 redeemed themselves with the remake, re-envisioning, remaster, whatever you want to call it, of the original Mafia. I fucking love that game. That's a great remaster, reimagining. So I think they redeemed themselves, and if they can just do it like that, at least at that quality, because that game's done old school. You just play linear missions, and if you want a free roam, you go back to the main menu and press free roam. It's old school, like they kept it original, just like the old game. So I don't think that's what they're going to do for Mafia 4 or Mafia prequel, but no, I'm really hoping it ain't bad because 2 was so good and one is now so good. Or one remaster is so good and like really modern. So I'm hoping that we see some great things out of the Mafia series. What's interesting to me about this game, actually, I just want to point this out, this game series, is that everyone for like the longest time said, you can't really step on the toes of Grand Theft Auto. And Grand Theft Auto is still king. Mafia isn't beating it. I'm not saying it's going to. What's interesting about Mafia is that Mafia's been sticking around for all these years through multiple Grand Theft Auto titles. It's like largely very similar to it. There's a lot of differences, of course, but the core is like you're a criminal and you're playing through a story for the most part.
Organized crime,
right? Grand Theft Auto is usually bigger. It's more focused on the free roaming section. The other games are not, but that's fine. The thing is that Saints Row also chiseled their way through as well.
Yeah, they found their niche, right? It's like they were like Saints Row 2, they're more similar to the Grand Theft Auto games because they're like taking themselves very seriously. And then they realized like we can't compete with GTA. So we'll just have to double down 100% on the goofiness factor. And like everybody remembers the giant dildo bat in Saints Row.
Yeah, so I definitely do. So when you and I played it like a few months ago, that's what I used.
Yeah, man, it's a classic. It's iconic. It's the iconic Saints Row weapon.
Yeah, Saints Row the Third, and like I know there's other ones after. I didn't play those other ones, but like Saints Row absolutely found its niche. And the first one was largely GTA, but it came out on the 360 before GTA came on the 360, so it like kind of solidified itself. But the reason why I even brought this up is that I want to know how many projects have been canceled because they were scared of Grand Theft Auto when they themselves had probably like an amazingly cool niche or like an amazingly cool offering, and that we just never saw it like take form at all. Never saw the light of day. Never was fully concepted because everyone's like, oh, I can't be GTA.
Yeah. It makes you wonder like all the things that could have been, right, if they just committed to it. Because like, I don't know, if I wanted to make an open world like crime game, I would look at things like GTA and I would think, okay, what does GTA do wrong, or what do I think that they could have done better? And then that's what I would try to incorporate into my project. I would look at the things that have been successful, like Saints Row and like GTA, and try to treat them as like a learning experience, right?
That's the thing, right? And like you could at this point you could really take lessons from Mafia because it's been around for a long time. Take lessons from Saints Row, and I'm sure someone that's more innovative in game ideas than me could come up with something that's super cool. Like one of the amazingly cool things about GTA era Mafia 2, I remember, was you're going through the eras. So like you start in World War II. You're like a veteran in World War II still raging. You come back and America's like 40s America. There's yellow stop signs. Like there's like really close thing to detail. There's 40s cars. If you take a 40s car and you bring it to the shop, you can change the license plate, change the color, change all this. If you do something, like if you shoot somebody or something and you get seen and that car gets implicated in that crime, if I remember correctly, changing the color helps, but changing the license plate really helps and actually like completely anonymizes the car. But here's the thing. You keep going into the future by playing the story. So you're in like the 50s and the 60s and stuff. The 40s cars, for the most part, are now clunkers. They're all beat to shit. They're all rusty, but yours were in the garage. Yours are nice. And if you take one of these old clunkers and bring it to the garage, you can't restore it because you're not a restorer. You're just doing a quick thing of paint, changing, doing it's the odd upgrade. So like you can like preserve these old 40s cars. And then you also have these like new 50s cars. The game like changes with, so if the story's in the winter, the game's in the winter and the roads are fucking shitty and you're in these big hunks of metal and it's hard to fucking stop and turn.
Yeah. See, actually, I was going to bring this up. Actually, I was like considering games like that have already proven to be successful. With Mafia, it's like there's a lot of things in Mafia that are very immersive and it's a fine line to balance between like, is it fun just because it's immersive?
It's a good question. I think the story is what carries Mafia. And I think because the story is so believable, the immersion is exemplified. Like they make it immersive, but then the story makes it believable. And so you're in like a believable world as a believable character with an immersive, like, for example, even in the Mafia remake, you can set how difficult you want the cops to be. Like, do you want them on simulation? Do you want them on, easy, whatever? You can set them because they know that people are going to get pissed that they can't be like pulled over for making wrong turns. And stuff,
and that's the thing I was thinking, right? It's like, it's charming the first time, but then the 60th time I'm trying to go through a stop sign and the cops are pulling me over every time. It's like, all right, like it's too much. I'm just trying to play the game here.
That's exactly it. It definitely got old in the first Mafia. I would say the second Mafia made it more accessible. The third Mafia made it even more accessible. And then I think that first one remake nailed it, where you set it and you can change it anytime, as far as I know.
You're right. Yeah.
So I have it set to simulation, but if I'm really pissed off, I'm gonna be like, the hell with this. I'm just gonna change it.
It's funny you can just do it like in the on the fly whenever you want.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit ridiculous. Well, I mean, that game is like super unforgiving. Like, as a brief, sort of final example for Mafia, there's like this scene where you run out of a church and there's been a shootout and the cops are ready for you outside. Now it's the 40s or the 20s, actually, I think 20s or 30s, 20s or 30s. I think it's the 20s at that point in the game. And because you're in like the rum running age and like my car was parked in like a really bad location and I tried to get over to it and I got all shot up. So I'm outside of a church. And so I just was like, fuck it, I'm taking this hearse. But this ain't like a hearse from today's standards, which is basically like a Lincoln Town car with like a bigger end, like almost like a station wagon for the hearse, like part of it. This is like a luxury yacht with some wheels and a bad engine. And so we're like ripping down the road, or should I say crawling down the road in this like V12 absolute piece of garbage that has a coffin in the back. It's slow as hell. The cops are going like absolutely crazy. Like the game's super unforgiving. And like, sure enough, like I failed like 3 or 4 times. So I just could not get to my car, kept failing with this thing. And then I don't remember whether I turned the difficulty down. I think I may have. But like, I like that it lets you choose your experience. Like I've kind of done my time with Mafia. I've beat the first one. So I'm just having fun with the remake here and there. And I mean, if you just do that your first time through, that's fine too. But like for me, I kind of like when I set a difficulty, I like to just stick with it and like just get better at it. That's just my thing.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
But like, I like that it lets you choose your experience and you can do that with a couple other options as well. So having that for the next game where I can set it to be like super immersive or let it be like a modern open world game. I think that's right at the sweet spot. I think that'd be perfect.
Here's open.
Heck yeah. All right. Final story of the day here. Halo Infinite. Oh boy. Halo Infinite split screen co-op has been canceled as the studio focuses on live service. This comes from GameSpot. Halo Infinite developer 343 Industries is growing and improving the game in a number of exciting ways, but unfortunately for some, the promised local couch co-op feature has been canceled. The studio confirmed today that it has canceled local campaign co-op for Halo Infinite because it is choosing to allocate development resources elsewhere. 343's developers will focus on Halo Infinite's live service and not on local couch co-op. There's a quote here. In order to improve and accelerate ongoing live service development and to better address player feedback and the quality of life updates, we have relocated studio resources and are no longer working on local campaign split screen co-op. This is a kind of an end of an era.
Well, it's funny because it's not the first time that Halo hasn't had split screen. I think 5 was the first one that didn't have a co-op campaign or something, or didn't have local co-op for the campaign.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, and I remember there was a pretty popular Reddit thread that kind of popped off because it was this dad who had played through all of the Halo games with his kid, and they were really excited because they had just finished 4, and then and then 5 was about to come out. And so it had always been a thing that they had done together, was playing Halo split screen through all the campaigns together. And then they got 5 and they got home and tried to boot it up and it just didn't have it. And he was just saying my kid's kind of devastated. It was something that was special to us that we did together. And, it's just a shame that it's sort of like we say, the end of an era of these games that are so known for how much fun they are to play multiplayer, especially in the campaigns. The Halo 2 multiplayer campaign is probably some of the most fun memories I can remember playing through the story of a game with a friend, and I just didn't have it.
It is a shame because like we said earlier, we kind of came up in the era where people just played. There was Xbox Live, but most people that I knew didn't hook up their consoles to the internet until Call of Duty 4, and because we were so used to that single player and or split screen couch co-op sort of environment where we'd have a friend over, we'd play some games together, maybe even multi-tap it with a PS4 or PS2 to have 4 players, or the Xbox had the 4 players and we'd play 4 player, or even System Link. I think I did System Link only one time on my original Xbox, but I'm pretty sure I did it once, to expand it for a LAN party type of thing. Because we kind of grew up in those circumstances, we kind of transitioned to online co-op just because it's more convenient than having to make time to come over and stuff like that. You can just pop on for an hour and pop off. Mm-hmm. And so these let's call them close to single player experiences, but co-op, playing against the PvE, if you will, were kind of pretty big for us, I would say. And it's a shame to see the competitive side of things, which is where the live service games typically, not always, but typically reside. It's a shame to see that pushing even multiplayer aside. Now, I will say this though. Good news is that Halo Infinite's co-op, the beta is out. I don't know how good it is. It's the full version of it is supposed to come out sometime in the fall. I think there's a date or a month given somewhere. But that does work. So you can still play online co-op with a friend. And you'll be able to do that officially with the update, assuming it comes out a beta relatively soon. But it's a shame that the split screen got pushed aside.
Yeah.
But I suppose the reason why I brought any of this up is I suppose it's at least in our experience, the oldest generation of gaming is being pushed out. Who's doing split screen now? Yeah,
that's probably it, right? They're just following the modern trends. Like you say, the battle royales and stuff are where it's at for multiplayer. And if the team can only focus on one thing for multiplayer, they're going to focus on what's selling, right? So,
and even we stopped doing a lot of couch co-op. We started doing online stuff. You know what I mean? Even the people that were quote unquote forced to do couch co-op as kids, we've kind of moved on to not necessarily even PvE or PvP stuff. We've kind of moved on to being we're going to play online. Like I have two PlayStation controllers. Hit my mic there. I have two PlayStation controllers, and I've never had them both in use at the same time for my PS5. It's always just one's charging and one's being used. And that's it.
It's funny you say that because I have the opposite experience where I never really use my PS5 unless I'm playing something with Kayla.
Oh, okay.
Like we played through It Takes Two a couple of months ago. And since then, I haven't really touched it. A little bit of Elden Ring here and there, but for the most part, like, yeah, it's set up in the living room so that we can play stuff together for the most part.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, obviously everyone has different experiences, plays things like differently or whatever. But I don't know, it's sad. It's still sad. It's still sad to see this go. And I mean, it's going to end up costing you, like, if you really want to play co-op with somebody in the same room, it's going to end up costing you another setup of some sort. I mean, I guess we live in the era in which you could just stream it to your phone if you wanted, stream Halo Infinite to your phone and then join online. But it still sucks. Still sucks. And I hope that, I don't know, some internal rogue dev team slowly but surely develops this and then just be like, this is ready. Let's push it out, as a surprise. That would be cool. But
that'd be crazy in a perfect world, right? That
would be awesome. But unfortunately, I think that's maybe foolish to foolish to hope for.
It's a whole lot easier to monetize competitive stuff, right? Or like online stuff rather than the cooperative. Like, how do you monetize split screen co-op? You can't really. But what you can monetize is online, because if you get a game like Fortnite, for example, everyone's running around with a different skin, everyone's running around with a different like weapon or glider or whatever. People see the stuff that other people have and they go, dang, I want that. And then, they have to cough up some V-Bucks too. So it's probably literally just a matter of chasing the paper trail, They just want that money. So.
And they've had their like fair share of problems with the online. I don't follow Halo Online too much. Halo Online to me has always been sort of just like a basic game, so I don't know. Like, I haven't played it too much, is what I mean. So to me, it's just sort of like I've done my split screen with it and stuff. But like a lot of the complaints that people had when it first came out, I didn't see because I'm just not that into it. So I just don't know. With my basic knowledge, I guess I should say. But apparently they're having like trouble with the online, like the community isn't really digging it too much and there's like problems with it and stuff like that. So like maybe they're obviously trying to put out fires more than trying to add features, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I really do want to get back. I think after Prototype 2, I might do Halo Infinite. I am restarting and I'm not playing on friggin' the second hardest difficulty. That was stupid as hell. I'm not good at Halo. And I was I'll take Ryan McCaffrey's friggin' comment about how that's the best way to play, or that's the way he prefers,
or whatever. The intended experience.
Yeah, like whatever he said, something along those lines. And then, and then I was like, I'll give it a try. Like, no worries. And then get in there and just like, well, I'm getting my ass kicked every time I go to do something. So
yeah, no, back in the day, man, I used to tear up some Halo Reach. I used to kick ass at Halo Reach. And, I think that was when I was at my like peak of game playing ability, because there's no way in hell that I could play like heroic. I have the freaking achievement in Reach for beating the campaign on Legendary alone. Like
alone.
That took a while. That was the dark times. That was when I'd never raged at a game as hard as when I was trying to beat Reach on Legendary alone. But I don't have to talk about that. It's okay. It was a different time, and I'd never had to do it again. And I mean, Halo is a series that's pretty notorious for achievements, achievement hunting. And, it really felt like an era, of people trying to get these achievements back when they actually were proper achievements. Now an achievement's just like beat the story, and then you get like 75% of the achievements or trophies in a game. There was hard stuff to do back in those Halo games, but never again.
Yeah, I definitely used to do COD Veteran, and like that's pretty damn annoying. And I did it all. I did like Mile High Club on 4. I think I beat like another COD or two, probably on Veteran. And then I just actually stopped playing the campaigns altogether. I'd do like a level or two and be like, cool. And then I would just stop. And it wasn't a bad campaign either. Like I really enjoyed them. Like it's to the point where I'm actually really wanting to go back and actually play all the World War II ones to find out that 2 of the World War II ones are locked on a PS2.
Oh.
Finest Hour and Call of Duty 2 Big Red 1.
Big Red 1, yeah.
PS2 and Xbox, to be clear. So they're locked on there. They're not on anything else. They have never been ported. They've never been backwards compatible. Call to Victory is on PSP, but I have that. So I can play that. But I don't have these other ones. I mean, I might have the games. Like, it's been a really long time, but I don't want to set up a PS2. Like, I don't want to mess with all the cabling and crap. I just cleaned up all my cables when I got a PS5 and a series. I don't really want to like go and start adding a bunch of cables again. So, I don't know. Well, maybe I'll figure something out, but like, I would love to go back and like actually play some of the old COD campaigns and see how they've aged, but, maybe couch co-op if they have it. So
yeah, they probably do.
I don't
they
think
might. No? I think they
World at War does, and I don't think any of the other ones do. Black
Either
Ops 2? I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, it's been a long time. But it's a shame on the couch co-op front for Halo Infinite fans, but hopefully the online co-op gets out of beta soon, and hopefully a rogue group of developers makes the couch co-op.
Yeah.
But that's it for the stories this week. We're on to what we've been playing. Tim, what have you been doing this week?
It's a short list this week again. Just kind of been doing, like you and I have been doing that Elden Ring seamless co-op multiplayer mod, which has been a lot of fun. Even if we do feel a little bit underpowered, but it's a good time to just keep chipping away at some bosses until we wear them down, and that's always satisfying. We finished Cult of the Lamb on stream last week, so this week was back to the Fallout New Vegas, and got a lot of good progress in that game. And like I'm coming across a lot of things in that game that I just like never knew about before. Like I'm finding alternate like paths and endings to quest lines for these quests that I always had like finished the same way and stuff like that. Coming across different like just events that can happen in the world, and it's been really interesting. I think the biggest difference is that I'm purposefully not leveling my speech skill this time around, which is like every time I play the game, it's like the first skill that I get to 100, because it just makes so many things so much easier to just speech check your way through that whole game. I think you can literally do the whole main story without killing anyone and just speech checking everybody. I think that might literally be a possibility in New Vegas. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun because it's forcing me to come up with alternative solutions to stuff. And like, there are some areas, like the area outside of the Vegas Strip, like the Freeside area, where there are a lot of goings on and a lot of like unmarked quests or just like objectives. Somebody will come up to you and they'll be like, hey, like, can you help me get this guy? Like, if you want to help us out in this fort and want to get like medical supplies, there are people around the community that I know could be like more helpful and would be better off if they were off drugs. Like, this guy's an alcoholic. This guy is addicted to jet. If you can get them like sobered up, then I can help you out, kind of thing. And there's all these like little things that I'm finding that I've played through Fallout New Vegas so many times, but I always play through it the same way. So kind of taking my time more with it and prioritizing different skills, playing through quests differently. It's like, I still am of the opinion that Fallout New Vegas is the best Fallout game. It just does so many things right. All the quests have like satisfying endings. It's really, it doesn't differentiate necessarily between like who's right, who's wrong, what's the good thing to do, what's the bad thing to do. Certain quests might have like a good ending, like karma wise, like a good ending, an evil ending, and then even like a neutral ending. It's just so open ended, and it really, I think, encapsulates what Obsidian thought Fallout should be, even back in the beginning. That's why I was quite disappointed with Fallout 4, is that every speech option in Fallout 4 was exactly the same. Quest lines only had one ending. None of the main story endings were very satisfying. And the characters were a lot less likable, and it just took itself too seriously. I am like, it's not an opinion that I would like take with me to the grave. It's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but I do think that Bethesda getting their hands on the Fallout IP was like possibly the best and worst thing to happen to it.
It probably saved it from being
dying in obscurity.
Dying in obscurity, but also I was going to say lower budget, because Interplay wasn't that big. I don't want to like step on the toes of Interplay, but Interplay wasn't that big. So I think Bethesda really, I mean, it did inject a bunch of money into it. Yeah,
for sure. Like I think people would have been fine if Fallout died at Fallout 2. If it was just Black Isle Studios, finishing off their run of Fallout with Fallout 2. But yeah, like obviously without Bethesda, Fallout 3, New Vegas 4, 76, none of them would have happened. So that's like fine. That's why I say it's like the best thing that happened to the series, because we get all these other games out of it, but also the worst thing in that they almost seem counter to what the original sort of theming and ideas for Fallout were when they were established by Black Isle and then eventually Obsidian. But it's a great game. I really enjoy going back to it time and time again. And it's actually the first game that I think we ever played together when we met in high school. And I remember coming over to your house one time and you were playing New Vegas on PC. And I remember just running around in the Vegas area a little bit and being like, man, this game's doing a whole lot. It's like blowing my mind right now.
I think you're right. Yeah, like I think that was the first time I ever played it too. It might have been like my first playthrough of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
I think that's right. It's like whenever you talk about it, because you've been talking about the last couple of weeks, like I almost feel like I should go back and play it. Like I've been playing older games lately, and I'm kind of used to that era of gaming again, I guess. And so, because I just played it at a bad time in its life where it just was really buggy. Very beginning, yeah. Like it was like launch title, and it was just like, holy fuck, this is buggy. Because even 3, like people hate the Fallout 3 version on the PlayStation 3. They say it's buggy and crap. I never really had problems. I had problems like way late in its life where I had beaten it, never, was done with it, decided to revisit it once, and it kept crashing. Yeah. So maybe that's like really the era that sucks. But like I played through that whole game with no problems. It's like the one time where I didn't get any of the problems anyone else was having.
Did you play it on PS3?
Yeah. Fallout 3 on PS3, yeah.
I played it on 360. Okay. Yeah, 360 was solid. I never had any issues.
So that's what a lot of my friends were playing on 360. I had a PS3 and didn't have a lot of games for it at the time. And so I was like, oh fuck, I'll just, I know I'm going to play a Bethesda game. I'll get it on PS3. Sure. And like people were bitching and crying about it, and I just had no problems. Super weird. But I know that Skyrim had a bunch of problems on there. But I almost feel like I should go back and try New Vegas to try it in its good state.
Honestly, yeah, I would recommend going back and playing it. Oh, I should also mention that I'm playing it like just with the most recent version of the patch on Steam. Like no mods or anything else. Which is like how I never play it. I always download at least a couple of quality of life improvements. But for the sake of the stream, I was just like, let's see if we can have some like goofy shit happen with glitches and stuff. And I gotta say, honestly, I have encountered very few glitches. The standard, kind of enemies glitching into the ground a little bit, which has always been a problem for New Vegas. But beyond that, honestly, like not really anything else. And I was really surprised at that. I was just like saying it today. Actually, I was like, man, we haven't seen any glitches in a while, and and it's almost like kind of disappointingly, because it was kind of the whole point of not using any mods. But at this point, I kind of wish I just said like, fuck it. Let's download some quality of life mods, like the unofficial Fallout New Vegas patch and that sort of thing. But yeah, if I was to play Fallout 3 again, I would absolutely need to download like a proper Iron Sights mod, because Fallout 3 did not have that, and it was all just like the very slight like vision zooming in anytime you tried to aim with a gun, which is why so many people heavily relied on the VATS system in that game, because gun accuracy was so poor on its own. But yeah, it's just like, for me, again, it's like the difference between Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 from Fallout 3 to Fallout New Vegas. It's just so many great changes. The gun modding, there's so many more weapons. There's such a variety. The skills are kind of make more sense, and like you actively, like, if you invest in a skill, you actively see the payoff for it. And there's so many like speech checks, not only just for increasing your speech skill, but like sometimes if you have a certain perk or if you have a certain stat high enough, like your strength or your intelligence or whatever, you can make speech checks for those. And it's just a lot of fun to go back to and play New Vegas multiple times, I think. So I think if you went back and played it again, if you can forgive some of the rough edges around it, I think you would really enjoy it and would be glad you gave it a second chance.
Well, I played, I say recently, but a number of years ago, but still a number of years from the game's releases, I played and rushed Adriano through 3 and New Vegas for the channel. And New Vegas, I still had like this taste in my mouth, because I was just kind of, being dismissive and telling him where to go. But like when I was watching him play 3, like I was actually kind of really enjoying myself. So I think I can definitely forgive that era of games, especially since I've just played Morrowind within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
that's what you got to be really forgiving with. Yeah.
So, like, cause I can play 3 with the shitty aiming. Like, I rarely use VATS, and I just use like the shitty aiming, and it's fine. Cause I played it so much back in the day that I'm just used to it. So, no, I'm definitely, yeah, it's definitely, I think it's something on the list. Like, so many people love it. I should probably play it when it's in a good state. I think that just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's lots of mods that make it, like, I think it's fine as is. I think it's great as is, honestly. But yeah, there's lots of, little quality of life mods out there that can make it just a little bit polished up around the edges and then just make it a really great game. But that's honestly pretty well been my week.
Cool. I mean, it's a big game, so
it's
still a big week.
Yeah.
For sure. But for me, I've been doing the usual, been doing the Fortnite. The season is coming to a close soon, so I'm kind of wrapping a bunch of the stuff up there. I kind of ripped through this season for whatever reason. I've been taking breaks from it. I haven't been playing it every day or nothing. And I am getting a lot of the bonus rewards, which is nice, which I never get to, which is super nice and pretty good. I mean, there is a difference in this season from the last season I played, where this season they just have a bunch of stuff coming out. They had a Goku event, which had its own little battle pass. They had multiple other events that I can't even think of now. They have like these, I don't even know what you call them events, but there's these little quest lines. One's called Vibin, which is sort of the seasons thing, which I haven't even completed yet. There's obviously your weeklies and your dailies, but then there's other just random ones that keep coming out, which is just piling on the experience, which I ain't complaining. That's great, because I don't want to do all these challenges. So by me doing just a collection of, a whole bunch of them, I'm still getting a bunch of experience. So that's really cool. And haven't done it, but I'm planning on doing another session of Dead Island Riptide this week. Possibly might beat it, depending on how much side stuff. If we do not do side stuff, I think we're going to beat it. We might end up doing side stuff because I don't know if we need to level or if the people I'm playing with want to do side stuff. I don't care. I just want that percentage to go up. So I'm there for it. I want this damn check mark, and I'm willing to chip away as fast or as slow as they want to. I'm totally fine with that. And I think I'm actually at the point with it where, like I said a couple weeks ago, I'm at 52 or 56% or something. I'm far enough that if they were to abandon me in this playthrough, I would just beat it. I'd be like, fuck this. Like, I'm beating this game. Like, I don't care. I'm getting this damn check mark, especially since Dead Island 2 is coming out. Which I don't know if I'll get right away, but
maybe finally,
finally. Yeah, seriously. But hopefully it's good. And it would be really cool if it was better than Dying Light 2. That would be really crazy and really weird.
It seems like they've at least taken some inspiration from Dying Light. Like, it seems like, the running around, the drop kicking, they're doing the different ways of interacting with like killing zombies and stuff. It seems like they're actually taking notes, because I definitely got some like Dying Light vibes from that sort of gameplay trailer they released at Gamescom. So I just hope it's good, man. Like, I wanted Dead Island to be good, and the first one was such a blah, and Riptide is so bad. But, yeah. I hope it's good.
I have a clip of one of those zombies throwing that, like, homing knife that does, like, 100% damage, and it hit my one buddy that was playing with. And I just see, like, he's just playing, he's totally fine, and his character just, like, kind of gets knocked back and, like, looks up a little bit, and then he just drops dead. He's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, welcome to Riptide, bitch. This is the first time that happened. Man.
That game sucks.
Fuck that game. Bad. And I think I've already said this story, but him like in the background talking to an NPC, and then under his breath just hearing, why the fuck's this guy's head keep bobbing back and forth? Fucking I was dying. It's so good. I'm hoping to get that check mark soon. But other than sort of multiplayer stuff, because I did some Apex as well, Apex Legends, I've been doing almost said the Dying Light. I've been doing the Elden Ring with Tim, the seamless co-op mod. Continuing along there, we're having a bit of a scaling problem at the moment, which I don't know is the mod or something. We're not doing a lot of damage to stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna need to run around a bit and get overpowered early to, I think, stand a chance.
Because we went and we did Margit, I believe, in the castle. I don't know what it's called.
Stormvale. Yeah, the first time you
Castle.
Come across Margit. The first real, like, wall, I think, that a lot of people come across. And it's not like we weren't, like, it's not like we didn't have equipment.
No.
Like, we're pretty leveled. We're leveled, and we've got, additionally, we have, like, some upgrades on our weapons. It's surprisingly, it was a surprising level of challenge.
Well, because the thing is like you were saying, and I 100% agree, is that it wasn't so much that we weren't dodging Margit. You know, he went through every single one of his attacks multiple times. Mm-hmm. It was the fact that we were wailing on him, and he just wasn't losing health. He was losing health so slowly that it adds 10, 15, 20, 50, whatever it is, attacks to the thing. And it's like, there's going to be mistakes made, and you yourself are going to get whittled down, and you're going to get weaker and weaker, and you're going to die. And that's what was happening. We ended up beating it. But holy crap. Like, I had 2 daggers, and one of them's upgraded to level 3 or 4 or something. And some of the hits were doing 3 damage. So, like
the game already increases a boss's health pool when you're in co-op. Which makes sense, because, like, if you got double the people wailing on a boss, then you should expect that, if it had the same health pool, then every boss would be just a face roll. We would just rinse through them super quick. So it makes sense that they would increase the health pool for the sake of the fight still having a semblance of a fight. The problem comes in the way of it seems like their health pool is also inflated by the mod as well. Because you hit them and it's like you kind of expect a bit of a chunk of their health to come off, but it's like a sliver. So
even a charged attack.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they might even actually be harder to stagger as well. Cause I remember I kept doing like jump attacks and charged R2s in an attempt to get some staggers off. And even when we did manage to get a stagger, a backstab, or a post or whatever, it's like, it's not a big chunk of damage.
It's really not.
So it's cool though, because it's forcing us to kind of consider different strategies, maybe take a little more time to go off and level up and stuff. Like, we did all of the Weeping Peninsula, which, for those who are familiar with Elden Ring, is kind of like the southern island where there's a lot of enemies there. There's a lot of locations to go to, some good loot to find, and tons of runes to get from bosses and stuff. And so we've leveled up a bunch. We got a bunch of good gear. And then from that point, like, if you go and you do that, you do Limgrave, which is sort of the starting area, and then you try to go and fight Margit, he's pretty easy. Like, you're pretty well equipped for that fight. And so to then go and try to do this fight, and honestly struggle a decent amount, is pretty bizarre.
Yeah, it's yeah.
It's a thing.
It's a bit messed up. What would you give this mod overall in terms of, like, it's in a beta state? What would you say, like, out of 10? With the weirdness, with the potential scaling problems, with the but, like, with to its credit, like the great connectivity. We haven't disconnected once, and with the cool, like actual seamless nature. Like what would you give this with all this stuff in consideration so far?
Honestly, overall, I'd give it probably like a 7 or an 8. Like,
I'm with you. Yeah.
We've had some pretty strange issues sometimes, but beyond that, like it's really good. It's a really good way to play Elden Ring. I think if you got somebody who you want to like consistently play sort of like a multiplayer experience with, it's a really fun experience. And, if you have played Elden Ring and you kind of were like, I'm going to stay away from like the summoning people because it's kind of, it makes boss fights easier having more targets for the boss to go after. There's more breathing room, etc. I would honestly still kind of recommend it because, I haven't found that makes the game any easier, honestly.
No, seriously. Like we're hitting walls. Like we got attacked by that chicken thing today.
The death bird. Yeah.
Yeah, the death bird. I don't know where I am in Elden Ring. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I just sort of like, there's people there and they're probably going to try to kill me.
Yeah, to be fair, though, I mean, we are like, we're skipping ahead some areas to go get some like upgrade materials and potentially some better equipment to then go back and maybe make the things a little bit easier. But yeah.
Yeah, like largely the only problems we've had is the torrent. Sometimes torrent's invisible. Sometimes like one of us is like 10 feet in the air.
It's like graphic issues, but nothing mechanical ever, honestly.
No, which is pretty crazy. We did have one mechanical one today, which was the cinematic thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where Margit's cinematic just kept playing for me, and then I would spawn into the boss fight, and his health was gone because he was dead, long since dead. And I was like, "What's going on here?" And then I can't remember why, but I ended up like outside of that area, and I walked forward slightly, and then it played the cutscene again, like as if he was alive, and I couldn't skip it either. But then to fix it, I just fast traveled to the grace that you unlock by killing him. And then it just sort of like the area was like, oh, I get it. And then it fixed itself. But, I mean, at least like we're not seeing like for some reason, I thought that we were going to see big save corruption like right away. For whatever reason, I thought we were going to have like, one of those cinematic bugs come in and then it was going to kill one of our saves. But
thankfully, no.
Thankfully not. Yeah.
No, it's been all right. Yeah.
So I hope it continues being good. I hope the development on the mod continues and gets even better. And, it's been a ton of fun. Other than that though, other than Elden Ring, I have been playing Prototype 2. So, Prototype 2 is pretty damn fun. I know that people like the first one better. I absolutely see their point, but I like this one better. It's a nice visit back to like the 360 era where it's just sort of like an old school game where your character is way too angry and yells at people.
Oh god, the angsty main character, yeah. Yeah,
like, I mean, there's a guy who kept saying, bro, I was telling you about this, Tim. And like, there's like a military officer calls into a doctor or a scientist or engineer or something. And, they're doing the military lingo of like, hey, we're going to move some units to your base and this and that and the other thing. And speaking in military terms. And he comes up like, I don't think that's a good idea, bruh. That's not any good, bruh. You know what I mean, bruh? And shit like that. And then your character's like, I hope this motherfucker, if this motherfucker says bruh one more time, I'm going to rip his head off or something like that. It's just like, just stupid, like, overly aggressive, whatever, like macho man, whatever from that era. But like, it's a nice visit back then. But what I think I like about it is that to me, like Prototype 2 is a fairly, not a huge jump, but it's like, games started getting a little more refined. And I think like the target system's better. I'm doing the action I want to more often. It's a little less abstract. I got killed so many times in the first Prototype because I tried to do an attack and I would just like fuck it up because I'd miss the target and stuff. And I thought you couldn't drive vehicles and stuff like that in this game. You absolutely can. Just unlock the ability to. So I can drive APCs now. I don't know if I'll be able to fly, but fly in a helicopter. It feels like it took a hell of a lot longer for me to actually be able to use the vehicles. And maybe that's one of the things people don't like is because like Prototype's just supposed to be crazy and chaos. But I would say that this game does a hell of a lot better job of making me feel like a totally badass, like really dangerous person as the soldiers are afraid of me. Like the soldiers are like terrified of you in both games. The Gen-Tech soldiers. And in the first game, I would die a lot. I would just die all the time. And it's sort of like, I don't know why they're that scared of me. But this game, it's like I go into an area and it's like, there he is, and I kill 15 of them in less than a second.
Oh my god.
And so it's like, I've fucking killed them. Like, there's a reason for them to be afraid of me.
Right.
And I have not done that much of the side stuff. A lot of the side stuff is sort of, actually, I got a weird story about that too. A lot of the side stuff is like time trials and stuff, like challenges. Some of the side stuff does unlock mutations and other abilities and stuff like that. And there's, of course, collectibles. It's pretty dead open world. It's an old game. What's really crazy is that there is a time trial mechanic. So it'll be like, hey, do this little mini game thing and it'll, you'll get a score and you'll get a score or a time trial or whatever it is. And you'll be compared to people on your friends list. So this game's old. So there's some people like that have played this game a number of years ago. Someone on my friends list went on there and beat my score the other day.
Oh.
And I logged on and it told me about it. And I was like, wait, what? And I went and I checked and yeah. Somebody logged on a Prototype 2 of all the games and beat my score in a random time trial event.
That is so bizarre.
And so random.
It's just the competitive nature, man. You can't keep it down. I don't know what to tell you.
So it's a thing. So, but yeah, no, I really enjoy Prototype 2. I might write up a review actually. I haven't written up a review for a game in a really long time. I might write up a review for it because I've been really enjoying it. Just chipping away at it, mission a night here and there. We'll be playing Fortnite. Everyone goes to sleep and I'm going to stick around for an hour or maybe half hour. So I'll just do a mission or two. There's 3 maps or 3 areas of the map. I'm on the second one. The story kind of sounds like it's coming to an end. So I don't know whether it's going to kind of rapidly end or whether it's one of those things where that we think it's going to end, but there's a whole other part of the plot type of thing, which is probably what it is. But yeah, no, I really enjoy Prototype 2. There's some really stupid moments. I have 2 clips. I told Tim about one where there's a doctor being escorted out of a facility that I'm chasing him down from. He's in an APC and I blow up the APC, like goes to jump out and he gets blown out of the like sort of porthole that you will. And some guy's like, don't let him consume you. Cause when you consume them, you get all their memories and stuff. He's like, don't let him consume you. Don't you dare. And right as he was saying, no, I won't. He landed right beside me from being launched with this APC. And I just immediately cut him in half and consumed him.
Oh,
it was like, and then there's another boss fight where he was laughing at me and he's like, yeah, keep on trying those things. I'm sure it will work eventually. And the instant he said that, I whacked with the same action, I whacked his helicopter with something, and he's like, "We're going down!" and just crashed immediately.
oh.
So, yeah, I don't know. Prototype 2 to me is better than the first one, but I see people's concern. Maybe it'll get bad. Who knows? But the game's really, really weird and really funny and really over the top, and I really enjoy it. But that's Prototype 2.
That's the week. Yeah.
That's the week, yeah. All right. Well, Tim, do the thing,
yes,
as
sir.
Ryan says.
Yeah, as Ryan always says. I would normally plug my Twitch and say that I'm streaming Fallout New Vegas, but we're taking vacation this week, actually. So Kayla and I won't be around. I probably won't be around to do the podcast next week either. We'll see. I'm calling you. I'm calling you for the podcast. All right. I probably won't pick up. Just saying. But yeah, I mean, twitch.tv/the sidetrack. I'll be off for a week, but we'll be back. What'll that be? I guess the 11th? Somewhere around there. Playing more Fallout New Vegas. Sometimes I do streams with friends. I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys with some of my streamer friends. And it's usually a good time. But if you need your fix, you can always check out twitch.tv/day1patchmedia as well on Wednesday nights, usually around 8 or 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, where myself, Matt, usually Ryan as well, are playing some co-op games too. So check it out.
Hell yeah. Doing the grounded mega build.
Yeah.
Mega build.
Nah, it's been a lot of fun. I really like games that incorporate building systems where they're pretty free form with it. They kind of just give you a lot of freedom. You can kind of build things the way that you want, and it's very forgiving and rewards creativity.
My only complaint with Grounded, and this does not go with Grounded, this is about any of these games, is that I never want to just live in the environment the game gives me. Like, if it's hard for me to get water, I'm like, well, I guess I'm making a fucking aqueduct now.
Yeah,
like, I'm not walking.
I'm not infrastructure going.
Yeah, we need the infrastructure. We need roads. Like, I can't see anything. Where's the signs? I can't see. Like, I don't want to be looking for food every day. Like, where's the farms? Well, I guess I'm setting up an irrigation system then. And like every time with these damn games, it's helpful though. It's helpful once it's done.
It's so much work up front, but the longer you play the game, the more it pays off, and the more you feel like gratified in your decision to invest all that time and effort into making like a bridge that just spans the entire length of the area that you want to run back and forth between.
It's safe. It makes sense. Like, it's safe at night even.
Yep.
We've mastered the games to the point where there are no wolf spiders from the oak tree specifically because we blocked them in.
Yeah.
They're stuck in there.
Yeah. We just built walls around where they respawn, and they don't feel the need to attack the walls because like we're not on the other side of them from their perspective. They don't even know that we're nearby, so they just they can't patrol outside of the tree where they normally would, so they're just there, and we don't have to worry about them around the tree.
So the only ones that are left are there's one kind of near-ish the Red Anthill. There's like a rocky area when you're heading toward the picnic table.
Yeah.
There's one out there, and there's one that's all along. There's one or maybe two on the way to the berry leather, but we don't need to worry about that either because we have a zipline system there, and there's one at the sand pit. We don't have to worry about that either because we have a forward operating base and zip lines to get in and out of there. So when it's nighttime, we can just fucking leave or sleep.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those. That's always my favorite part of the survival crafting games is when you no longer need to worry about the survival, and it's just, okay, now what do I want to mess around with in this game?
Seriously, yeah. It's and we're doing it. Like, I just hope that version 1.0 doesn't wipe our worlds. I don't think it will, to be honest, because the game's been out for so long.
Yeah.
It might like bugger up the one end of our bridge to the future because we built right to the edge where they're going to update. So maybe that might change a bit, but I mean, it'll be like one staircase and we have so many supports.
Yeah. Built literally right to the part of the map where there are like digital floating like construction signs saying, do not go past here. We're not like done. This area's not done yet.
It is the bridge to the future, man. That's all.
Literally the future. Future updates. It's good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's the show.
That's the show. Yeah, this concludes this week's episode. Hope you liked tuning in this week. I almost said Tim, do the
subscribe.
thing.
Yeah, do the thing again. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to rate the podcast where you rate your podcasts. If you liked the news or banter, or you got friends that you want to, think that would enjoy it too, feel free to share it with a friend because it helps the podcast get out there. And then maybe eventually down the line, after 404 episodes, we might be able to get like a sponsor or something. But yeah, if you're still
404,
that'd be incredible, right?
That would be pretty good.
But that's the show. Thanks for listening. If you're still here, I appreciate you.
Well, I don't.
Goodbye.
Peace.